In today's video, we're going to talk all about the fire element and specifically how you can utilize this element in your witchcraft practice. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, welcome to the family. My name is Gina. I am so happy to have you guys here. We have a lot to talk about today, so we are going to jump right in. And I have done 2 other videos on the elements. So far we have done water and we have done earth. Next, after this video, I'll make sure to do one all on the air element. Unlike the water element and the earth element, which are more associated with that feminine energy, the fire element is actually associated with that masculine energy. Now, I do like to clarify in each of my videos that we're not thinking in terms of boy and girl, man and woman in our more, human terms. We're talking about energies here. It's kind of like the yin and the yang. So whereas the feminine energies are a little bit more passive, a little bit more nurturing, the masculine energy is more active. It's often associated with the color orange, sometimes red, and the chakra correspondence tends to often be the sacral chakra, because the sacral chakra also is associated with the color orange, but the sacral chakra is where our passion lives, our sexuality. So the fire element rules a whole bunch of different things. It rules energy, will, it rules courage, strength. It can be all these really strong positive things, but it can also be destructive. Each element has those 2 dimensions, those 2 polar opposites, but also a continuum. Like I said, it rules that passionate energy, that power that we hold within ourselves. Fire also rules passion in terms of love, sexuality, heat, divinity, light, warmth, of course, are other associations with fire. Fire can also be seen as a very protective energy as well. Now, fire is often associated with summer as well, and not just because we often like to have bonfires in the summer and such, but also because of Beltane, and I'm not going to get specifically into Beltane. That could be a whole video in itself, but the pagan holiday Beltane, also one of the Sabbats, is something that happens at the beginning of summer, traditionally celebrated with bonfires. So the fire element's very closely connected to that as well. In terms of tarot, and I always like to put a tarot association in here because I love tarot, it's often associated with the wands. However, depending on your belief system, some people will actually flip the wands and the swords. So some people actually see fire associated with the swords and then air with the wands. I personally go by the belief system that the wands represent fire element and the swords represent air, but it really depends on your personal practice. Before we get into the ways that you can utilize the fire element in your witchcraft practice, first let's talk about why. Why would you use the fire element? I am personally drawn to the fire element because it has very powerful manifestation energy. And yes, you can manifest with any of the elements, but the fire element is different in that it kind of lights that spark under you if you're feeling unmotivated or if you're struggling with confidence in yourself. Fire can really give you that oomph, that fiery, passionate, excited energy that you need to move forward. Not only is the fire element very effective for manifesting things into your life, it is also very helpful for getting rid of things, banishing things because of its destructive qualities, which we can utilize in our practice for good. We can get rid of things that are holding us back, get rid of things that are keeping us depressed, unmotivated, things that we are holding on to, whether it is guilt, whether it is anger, whether it is a grudge, whatever it is that's holding us back from, achieving better things in our life, from being happy, we can use fire to also remove that. It's a very empowering and energizing element. So if you're somebody who's having difficulty getting things going, maybe you're a procrastinator, maybe you have a lot of fearful energy that you're holding in, maybe you need some extra courage, I would say that fire element is an amazing element for you to be working with. But let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what you guys like to use, and when do you go towards the fire element opposed to other elements for magic? It's really personal. Now, there's different ways to represent the fire element on your altar because many people like to represent all 4 elements, sometimes 5 if you consider spirit one of the elements, on their altar space. Some obvious ones are candles or a cauldron, but you can also use incense. You can also use an athame. Often the athame symbolizes fire as well because it has that more masculine energy as well, which fire is also attached to. You can use various colors that are associated with fire, like oranges and reds. You can also use various stones, which we'll talk about in this video, which correspond to the fire element itself. So let's get into the various ways that you can incorporate fire into your witchcraft practice. So candle magic is a very common one. Honestly, candle magic is amazing. It is a go-to for me. It can get the job done. I've seen some pretty quick results with my candle magic. There's so many things that you can do, so many different things you can manifest. If you know your color correspondences, having different colored candles in your collection is definitely very nice. Not everyone has that luxury. You can definitely make use of tea light candles. Birthday candles is another thing that people do because then you can get various colors as well, and they're very inexpensive. You can get a little package of them at like the dollar store most likely, if not there, the grocery store. So that is another way to do it. But candle magic is amazing. Candle magic's great for manifesting different things. Candle magic's also great for letting go of things. Candles can be used for cord cutting rituals. So if you need to let go of a relationship, if you need some distance, that is a very beneficial practice. It's a way to separate yourself from somebody else without stepping into baneful magic and do anything, you know, negative towards them. Obviously, all of that is personal and I'm not going to judge anyone's practice, but I have used cord cutting rituals in the past and they have been very, very helpful and successful. And it's nice to know a variety of different candle spells because it's very simple magic that's very useful in your everyday practice. So highly recommend working with candles or learning about working with candles because there's so much you can do with them. Number 2, fire scrying. And there's different ways you can do this. You can fire scry on a single candle. You can do this in a bonfire. Bonfires are nice because the fire is a lot larger. There's a lot more space, so there's a lot more symbolism and things that you might actually be able to pick up on. Scrying is kind of a meditative and trance-like process. You have to, you know, allow yourself to really relax and focus on the fire. Kind of empty your mind a little bit. Just focus in on the fire itself. You don't really want to be thinking about too many other different things. And there's different things that you may see in the fire. And it's really about not trying too hard. This type of practice takes time because if you're somebody who likes to overthink and analyze things, this may be a bit of a difficult practice for you. To get started, obviously with time that you can get better at it because, you know, witchcraft is a practice. It's called practice for a reason. You got to practice it. But when you are looking at the fire, you kind of have to just really relax and be open to whatever you see. And from there, you can maybe interpret things. I wouldn't try too hard to interpret things that you see right away. Just focus on it. Maybe take notes of what you see. You can kind of decipher that later. So number 3, you guys know I had to bring this up because it's one of the things I love to do and it's a burning ritual. Burning rituals are one of my favorite ways to work with fire. Fire is just so powerful and so empowering to let go of things that you've been holding on to for a really long time. You can write down things that you want to release on paper or bay leaves. Bay leaves is what I usually do these days. Doing this is a fantastic way to release things, and you can throw it into a bonfire, you can throw it into your cauldron. I love having a cauldron for this reason because you don't have to get a whole big bonfire going. If you just need to do a quick burning ritual, you just take your cauldron outside and just quickly, you know, burn a few things in there, and it's just very convenient and helpful to have. I highly recommend getting one if you can, or even just like a burn proof or fireproof bowl is what I was trying to say. Some sort of fireproof bowl would work as well. But also, not only is fire good for destruction, but it's good for manifestation. So yes, it's really good for releasing, but some people will actually also use the burning ritual for manifestation. They'll write down the things that they want to manifest and then they'll burn it. So that's a very personal choice. I personally don't resonate with this as much as burning to let go. I have used wish paper though, and that's something I resonate a little bit more with. And maybe it's a process of the paper just kind of floating into the air magically that makes it a little bit different for me. I don't know what it is. I'll show a shot of what the wish paper looks like so you guys know what I'm talking about. But I do love to use wish paper for manifestation. It's actually a really cool and magical way to put that intention out into the universe. I really enjoy it. You can get wish paper at various local spiritual shops. I'm sure you can get it online as well, but I got mine from a spiritual shop in Collingwood, Ontario. Many people also use the fire element in more like kitchen magic type things. So cooking, baking, you're working with the heat, you're working with the fire element essentially. So this is another way to work magic. You can manifest different things, whether it is peace, protection. You can do money magic, honestly, in the kitchen. There's so many different things that you can do with your baking, with your cooking, and different ingredients that you can incorporate that represent various things, but obviously you're also infusing it with that fire element. So that is another way to work with fire magic. I also want to mention that spices in general tend to have that fiery energy. They're associated with that fire element. Some spices maybe more than others, but that is another way that you're kind of infusing that fiery energy into your food, into your magical work. Number 5 is sunbathing / sun charging. So charging yourself and, charging your energy, but also charging your tools, whether it is your crystals, obviously ones that are sun safe, whatever other tools that you have in your magical practice, you can charge those with the energy of the sun. And the sun itself is associated with that fire element. It is a very energizing element because the sun itself, it gives us energy, it gives us life. Without the sun, we wouldn't have life on this earth. So that is the reason why the sun is associated with that fire element. You could also make sun water. So put some water out in a glass jar under the sun, charge it with the element of the sun, and you can use that in your plants, you can use that in your magical practice, you can put it on your altar. Number 6, I'm not going to get too much in detail about this because I do want to keep my videos PG, but sex magic is another way to work with the fire element. Sex magic doesn't necessarily have to be sex with another person. This can be manifested in so many different ways too, so it's not necessarily just what you think. Breath work is another amazing practice and something that's very, very common and a big part of sex magic in general is breath work. So you can just do that, really just tapping into your sacral chakra energy, that passion, that fiery energy, that need to create and bring things into the world is working with sex magic, fire element. There's so many different ways to go about this, so don't think that you just have to do things a certain way. Also, don't do anything that you don't feel comfortable with, that you're not safe in. But sex magic is actually really powerful for manifesting in general. Like, there's just so much manifestation power and energy that we can get from our sexuality. So that is definitely a topic that you can pursue on your own, do a little bit more research in. But I have heard so many stories from very well-known practitioners that have a lot of success in their magic that incorporate elements of sex magic, and it works really well for them. So definitely look into that one if you are of age, if you are obviously being safe and doing your research. Next, I want to talk about crystals because there are crystals that are associated with the fire element. And as I'm getting into this, I realized, I don't think I talked about this for my other videos. Each video is kind of got its own flair, its own style. Maybe I should have come up with a universal format for all of these element videos, but in reality, there's just so much to cover. But I kind of just like to go with my intuition and what I feel like sharing. And obviously you guys can do more research from there. But there are lots of stones that are associated with the fire element that you can utilize in your practice just to kind of incorporate that fiery and also sacral chakra energy. So red jasper is one of them. Tiger's eye is another. Tiger's eye has already a very courageous and brave energy to it. Tiger's eye is often used for giving yourself a little bit more confidence, courage for pursuing different things. If you ever feel a lot of fear or hesitation and you need a little extra courage, believe in yourself a little bit more, carrying a tiger's eye can be very helpful for that. So there's definitely a reason why the tiger's eye is associated with the fire element. Ruby is another one, garnet, carnelian, citrine. For the most part, that more like red, orange colors tend to be associated with the fire element. We also got fire agate, fire opal, amber, sunstone, obviously. Anything associated with the sun is going to be associated with that fire element. And there's different ways that you can use these crystals. You could literally just carry them around with you to give yourself a little bit more of that fire energy. Maybe you are heavy water energy. Like maybe you're somebody who's super emotional, like myself. Things get to you a lot. You're very sensitive. Maybe you need to balance out your energy. So you grab a fire element crystal to carry with you to kind of balance that out, because we all need all of these elements. We all need the elements of water, earth, fire, air within us. Having a well-balanced amount of all of these elements is very helpful. But often a lot of us kind of lean towards like specific ones for the most part. I definitely lean towards, the air and the water because I'm very emotional and I'm very in my head. And I need the earth and the fire elements because I need to ground myself with the earth element, and I need that fiery energy to give me the confidence to go for things, to give me the confidence to speak up for myself, which I'm really bad at. So we can kind of tap into, what are our elements that kind of rule us? what rules us and what do we need to incorporate into ourselves, into our practice to bring that balance back. Looking into your astrological sign may be a good place to kind of start, because certain astrological signs are associated with certain elements. Like I'm Libra sun anyways, and Libra is associated with the air element, so makes sense, I'm always in my head. So that may be like a place to kind of start, but definitely taking time to reflect and figure out what is ruling me, like what elements rule me for the most part, and seeing how you can incorporate some of the other elements that don't rule you as much to really bring that balance into your life. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope it inspired you to incorporate the fire element into your own practice. Let me know in the comments below, how do you incorporate fire in your practice? If you did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, because it does help out my channel a lot and also lets me know that you guys like these kinds of videos. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because I post new videos every single week and I wouldn't want you guys to miss out on them. I hope you guys have a beautiful day or night whenever you're watching this, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye guys.